for Advanced Equity Services Corp. That's a Wall Street investment firm. And he also petitioned his way onto the Republican ballot. He is joining us from New York City tonight. Mr. Carlo, welcome.
Thanks for having me here today, Liz.
Well, you know, as I mentioned, we had Ms. Hayworth in last week, and she had something to say about this primary, and I'd just like to play a little bit of a clip of what she said and have you respond to it, okay? So let's take a listen.
But certainly relevant to a primary, the Republican committees and active party members in every part of our district, in every one of our communities, I have taken them to heart, and I think they've also taken me into their hearts. So I feel confident that we are going to win the primary decisively and go on to the general.
So she feels confident that she's going to win, and she's also, as I mentioned, the NRCC's preferred candidate and local GOP leaders. So what do you say to that?
Well, Liz, what occurred here in the 19th Congressional District is Dr. Hayworth is a GOP established candidate. 70% of the GOP committees did not interview me. Basically, their job, according to anyone that you would ask on the street, the average common sense person, would be that their job is to get out the vote and interview the candidates. I was a federally registered candidate since January 19th, 2010, and they failed to interview me. But the grassroots community of the 19th Congressional District, including Tea Party groups, pro-life groups, talked to me. I interviewed with them, and there were some Tea Party groups that I interviewed with, and they would interview me for 3 hours at a time, asking me all questions, all positions, and everything about my life. The GOP committees, the few that gave me an opportunity to talk to them, would basically give me 5 minutes of their time, ask me how much money I have, and basically say, thank you very much. What happens is grassroots candidates honestly don't have a shot with GOP establishment committees. What they do is they look at the money first without the character and the issues and the experience.
Well, that is interesting that you bring that up, because this is my next question for you now. Now, Nan Hayworth actually has quite a bit of resources on her side. She's put $500,000 of her own money into her campaign, and she has $774,000 on hand. That's your challenger, your primary opponent. Mr. Hall has $564,000 on hand, and you have $66,000 raised, but $62,000 of that was your own money. So you're vastly underfunded. How do you overcome that?
Well, I don't believe I'm underfunded. Regarding my opponent, Dr. Hayworth, 89% of her money comes out of district, which according to me, the way I look at that is special interest. If people in this congressional district look at my FEC report and say that Neil DiCarlo is putting his money where it is, he's spending it. I've spent my own money, I've gotten a few donations, and I've actually not asked anyone to fundraise or ask anyone for money. And that's what I decided to do. I wanted the people of the 19th Congressional District to understand that I want to be a servant for them. I'm not going to cater to the special interests. My motto is, I don't know anyone, so I'll owe no one. And that's what it comes down to. She might have $500,000 that she loaned herself, but the question she should be asked is, has she spent any of that $500,000, or is that just another typical political move where you try to scare out all the other candidates? As you can see with my FEC report, I've actually spent my own money. And as far as the other fundraising goes, I'm perfectly positioned to get out the vote with the grassroots volunteers on my campaign. And I don't think money is going to be a problem at all, because in 2010, the people of the 19th Congressional District, what they want is a leader. They don't want a follower. They don't want anyone to look at other congressional congressmen or congresswomen that are out there and saying that I'm going to follow their example. The people of the 19th Congressional District want a leader. I am that leader. They've asked me to continue, and that's how they petitioned me on the ballot. And there is actually a website called theteapartyisover.org. That's a website to crush Tea Party candidates, which I happen to be. Now, as you said, I was underfunded, but now this is interesting. If I'm underfunded, yet I'm on that website and there's only a few candidates in the entire country that's on that website, I must be doing something right. I must be imparting the truth, which what my philosophy is, I will defend life and I will defend the United States Constitution.
Okay.
So
So, but let me just, I'm sorry, pardon me for cutting you off. I just wanted to ask a quick question. If in fact you don't know anyone, and I understand what that means, which you're meaning, I don't know anybody who has big, deep pockets, and so you don't owe any special interest, so you can go and vote your conscience if and when you got to Washington. However, voters need to know you, and generally in the political system, that takes cash. You have to get the voters to know you. So how are you managing to do that?
I go door to door. I meet Tea Party groups. I've done enough research in this race and congressional races where money will not be a factor. In 2010, this is going to be the first time in the 19th congressional district, for the first time in 14 years, there's going to be a Republican primary. The people of the district want me on the ballot. They don't want GOP establishment candidates anymore. That's what the change is. I encourage everybody out there that's listening to me that they can run. Do not be intimidated by the GOP political machine.
Let me ask you this then. Why is it that you think, as a political neophyte, you've never held office before? You've actually, I'm not sure, have you ever run for office before, or is this the first time for you?
I never ran before.
Okay, so, and you've never run before. Why is it that you believe that you would be a better person to represent the 19th congressional district than John Hall, the incumbent?
John Hall and I have a different philosophy. I've never met John Hall. I will not criticize John Hall. He has a philosophy. I have a different philosophy. And I'm not going to sit here and attack him like other candidates attack him. He believes one way, I believe the other way. And the people of the 19th congressional district are going to have a choice, and they're going to say that Neil DiCarlo has no special interests, and he is looking out for them. In Congress, your job is to serve the people. Yesterday, I got a phone call from a man at night, and he was asking me, he said, Mr. DiCarlo, I said, how can I help you? And the first thing we always think about is he's going to ask me how I'm going to create jobs or how I'm going to fix the economy. And he looked at me, and on the phone, he said, Mr. DiCarlo, I'm concerned about POWs. How can you help me in that way? Congressman Hall and several other congressional candidates and other congressmen and women have ignored me. How can I get POWs back into this country? And on the phone, I said to him, you know what, I'm a servant. My job is to look out for you, not for me. And if I get elected into office, I will examine the issue and I will ask all the right people in Washington, D.C. to answer his question. And that's the role of Congress, is not to look out the special interest, to take that phone call from everybody that gives you a call, whether you have an office in Brewster or whether you have an office further up in a different county, but actually pick up that phone call, not send a form letter, and address the concerns of the 19th congressional district and not the special interests.
So regarding the concerns of the 19th congressional district, how, for example, would you have voted on some of the big ticket issues that we've seen in Washington, for example, on health care reform or on the bailout for Wall Street and big banks? Would you have voted no or yes on those issues?
I would have voted absolutely not regarding the bailouts. I would have voted absolutely not, no, 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 regarding Obamacare. And the thing is, we have to repeal it. We have to end it. We have to go to Washington, D.C., and now as everyone's reading all the pages and finding out what's occurring in there, and as everyone, and you can ask all your viewers now, that most likely in the last month, their insurance and their health insurance has probably gone up 20%. Our job is to repeal it. No ifs, ands, or buts. It means going to Washington, D.C. and saying, no, we're going to stop it. No political rhetoric, nothing looking and trying to look out for the special interests, but looking and saying, we have to repeal this because this is damaging to our country, and we just have to repeal it.
And
that's what we have to do.
We are unfortunately out of time, but Neil DiCarlo, I want to thank you very much for joining us this evening. And you are a candidate in the 19th Congressional District, so thanks very much. We'll be seeing on September 14th the results of that primary.
Thank you very much.